So I can go ahead and just eat away this surface right here without touching anything else. When I smooth in Shapelab, I'm actually remeshing in real time. So this is a lot more of a voxel-based smoothing. Hi guys, my name is Borodante, and welcome to John's Pants. John is the main character for the horror game I'm working on. In this video, I'll be working on making sense out of the 3D scan, or multiple 3D scans I did of my own pants, performed by me while I was wearing the pants. So the plan for this video is the following. I'll show you guys what went into achieving this scan and what other scans we may use with it as well to improve our result. And for the main part of the video, I'll be wearing my Quest 3 and finally actually trying it in action on video, because we'll be using a VR sculpting app called Shapelab, which is the sponsor of today's video, to combine and clean up all the 3D scans together to get the best possible result of John's pants. And before we start, I want to say thank you to Shapelab for sponsoring this video, as well as let you guys know that Shapelab is running a discount right now on its Steam page. So if you're interested in VR sculpting and want to check out Shapelab, right now is the perfect time to check out the link in this video description and get Shapelab on Steam. Now back to our scan. This is the best all the pants together of a scan that I got out of this Reviscan software that I used with the scans I created with Revipoint Miraco, which is this 3D scanner. Here's the review video of it. And it's a very powerful scanner with several really useful modes, and its main benefit is that it can capture really precise surface detail, like very high precision detail. So you can see right here, this is the belt area of the pants, and you can see all the details in here. Like, it will be really good to project this kind of normal map onto the in-game model. So this is really cool. But you can see I was only able to scan small bits at a time because it's pretty hard to do it, and you can see the footage right now how I was doing it. It was pretty hard to perform that kind of scan. And right now is Nadia away visiting her relatives, so I'm alone here for a while, and Mara sitting there in her corner is not a lot of help with using a 3D scanner. So I had to do everything myself while making sure I move as little as possible, because if I move, the whole alignment gets even worse and it will be even harder to make everything work together. In the end, I got a bunch of different bits of the pants. Some of them are very high precision but small area, like this belt, or sometimes like there would be bigger things but they would be a little bit like softer, which is still like great. Like from a distance is definitely like it has a lot of high precision features here, but like if we zoom in on the belt, there's definitely less definition here right now. So overall, I have a whole bunch of these parts of the scan. Like this one covers the biggest area of the pants all at once, which is great, but still not perfect. And I spent a lot of time merging everything together, having like many different stages of merges of smaller bits here, like whatever merged perfectly right away. Here's like 2 scans of the high precision for the belt area, so I combined them together and got like more of the area covered with this scan. So this will be very useful, and so on. So I was merging a bunch of separate bits of scans, then I was merging the merges together, and that results in like many separate layers, like these like pancakes slapped all over the surface of the scan, creating like extra surfaces that turn into like separated layers that hover next to the surface. And usually if it's completely disconnected, it's easy to like find and isolate these kind of smaller bits and delete them with one button, which is something I did here. But then these bits right here that are a little bit connected to the surface, there's no way to define it and quickly remove. So that's something you're stuck with. There's also overlay function that helps define certain repeating surfaces that are really the same, but like at a distance from each other, which would create this kind of doubling of the surface. So you can clean up a lot of it, but far from all of it, because many of it, like if the distance is a little bit greater than the threshold, it won't be able to define it as a problem to remove. So I'm stuck with all of these issues in here. And usually this kind of problems, as well as like what we have here in Blender, if I'll turn on like cavity right here, it will highlight the problems a little bit more. So again, the front is a little bit better, like comparing to this scan. There was really a lot of these layers here. In here, it's a little bit cleaner. Overall, it's like more sculpting ready. I mean, it's obviously like messed up scan a lot. And like, this is not the best application or the best showcase for a 3D scanner, obviously. And the main issue why everything got this messed up, like you can see all of this right here. Underneath in there, there's another like separate and consistent surface of the pants, and it's all like layered together a lot like a shell. So it's all in there, and it would be really hard to select all of this and remove it in Blender. First of all, because Blender is really slow with such high poly meshes, it really doesn't work well. And you need to use like editing tools, not sculpting tools, for something like this to remove bits of surfaces and close holes and everything. That's editing tools. And that's really slow with such high density meshes. So this is like a big issue. And the main reason why all of this happened is because I was combining many smaller scans, because I was alone and it was really hard to maintain proper consistent movement of the scanner so it wouldn't shake or turn away the wrong direction and lose alignment, so I would have to stop and make another scan afterwards. And on top of that, if I would be scanning like on my right side, like turning to the right, I would have like slight shift in the shape of the pants, because no matter how hard I try not to move the bottom half of my body as I'm doing this, I still did, and there was some shifts in the shape, maybe not in the shape of specific wrinkles in general, but overall the shift of my posture may have gotten skewed a little bit, you know, when I would be leaning from one leg to another or something like that. Again, I tried not to do it, but it's inevitable. So all of that leads to a lot of this misalignment, but I had to combine a lot of scans to just get overall the full pants in general. So some scan would cover like this half of the leg, and another scan would have like this coverage, and they would overlap in this area. And because they overlapped, they didn't align perfectly in here, so there's a problem in here because one scan was not quite there where the other one was. But I needed to use them together because the second scan would continue the leg here. So that's why you run into this issue. And usually I think this would be quite a deal breaker. This is like a completely messed up scan, really. But since I can sculpt and have some tricks up my sleeve, I can actually adapt a scan like this to get it into a much more sculptable and fixable mesh. So first of all, if we just try sculpting right now on this, trying to fix the issues, right? If I'll just blur it out, this is just never gonna go away because there's no voxel-based sculpting in Blender. This is all surface-based. So if there is a separate surface with a hole in between one area and another, no matter how much you blur, you will never erase these holes and these like separate layers of things that happen in between here. And this is like the big problem. You can't sculpt away a problem like this. So one way to do it, like how we could just grab this and turn it into something a lot more usable. So I have another, like a duplicate of this mesh prepared right here, and if I disable everything, you can see that this right here is the same mesh that has like a topology like this, and then we simply subdivide it to get like a very high density of topology of this like smoother mesh that's slightly thicker than the original scan. And then we use shrink wrap modifier with the project mode and like this kind of settings here, and what we get is we like project all the details from that original scan model onto this one. But the difference of all of this is that if we apply all of these modifiers right now and we start sculpting this, we'll notice that all of this detail, all of those layers were projected onto one consistent surface. There is not a single hole in this version of the mesh. Like anything, any kind of problem, no matter how terrible it looks, it can be just smoothed away. This is a pretty quick way to get from an absolute disaster to something you can totally fix. You see, everything just goes away. So if we're like careful enough with just smoothing away the details that are broken, making sure we're careful with the details that we want to keep, we'll get a very good result. But there's still an issue, like in here, this just doesn't look like pants at all right now. Why? Because I blurred away like the steps, but there's still quite a strong layer shift in here because of this misaligned another version of the surface, right? So we kind of have it, but also it all has these weird steps everywhere. That's really a bummer to work with. And we saw that in the original scan, there is quite a consistent surface underneath in there. If only we could remove all of this cleanly and just expose that detail in there, it would be just such a better result in general. It would be so much easier to work with it. And after thinking for a moment, I found a way to do it, and that's VR sculpting. And now I'll show you guys what I mean by that. So right now, the first part of my work will be cleaning up this particular mesh, where I assembled like the best all the pants together version of the mesh, and we just need to remove these shells of the mesh that are covering the consistent mesh underneath. And the second step I plan for is maybe exporting a few of these merges like this that I would like close holes on, and they would be like nice blocks of the model that just cover a certain small area but have like a really good and precise quality with it. And I would just manually align these blocks like this with that cleaned up scan, and I would just merge all of it together in the end. So that's the plan, so let's start. I'm gonna go ahead and close a Blender and everything in here, and we can actually start working. Alright, I think I'm all set up. Let's import that mesh then. There it is. Auto line, let's not touch it, just default translation, so it would fall right back into place when we send it back to Blender. So here's our look. By the way, vertex color is all here as well. We won't be able to save it much. I mean, to an extent we will, it's just that when I'll be cutting into this mesh, it will definitely not interpolate the color, which is something that would be cool to have eventually in Shapelab, but so far it doesn't matter much. So right now I'm using this stamp brush, and I selected a cube and made it round to 100% and scaled in X to the maximum to get my favorite capsule shape like this. So we have this, and now let's have a look at maybe a material we want to choose. I mean, this is one way to do it, actually. Also, in many ways, it's about the environment I'm in. It changes the lighting on the mesh, especially if we're using like normal kind of material. So right here in the environments, we can choose something pretty bright. Maybe that will be a better deal. It is, but still, it's obviously a black mesh. So yeah, I guess I'm just not gonna preserve the color of it. And let's switch to... which environment do we want? I like green. I mean, okay. Let's do this, I guess. It's pretty bright. But yeah, let's just fill with whatever. I think it's a good color, right? And we could use like a matte cap. Yeah, one of these to really expose those details. Let's probably go ahead and duplicate the mesh just in case. And I'm gonna hide the original there and lock it. And with this guy right here, let's just start working with removing this shell on the butt. So what's really cool and beneficial about VR sculpting, as I never fail to mention, is that unlike using a mouse or a pen on a tablet, I don't only have like X and Y in my input when I'm positioning the tool next to the sculpt. I also have the depth input, so I can put my hand in any depth I want. And that results in me being able to perfectly pinpoint that I want to remove only here, but not further. So I can go ahead and just eat away this surface right here without touching anything else and having very high precision control over what exactly I'm doing. And coincidentally, this is very useful for cleaning up a scan. So this is like a massive, terrible slab here. Oh, and by the way, at any point we can like smooth things and everything. And smoothing is actually another tool that's very fortunately implemented in Shapelab, because when I smooth in this app, unlike what I showed you guys in Blender just now, in here when I'm smoothing, I'm actually remeshing in real time. So this is a lot more of a voxel based smoothing. So you see that feature right now, that little bit, got completely removed. It still won't completely destroy a hole, but that's what we have an actual carve tool here for. So yeah, this is pretty much what I'm going to be doing for the next hour or two, I guess. I hope I'm looking at the camera, I have no idea. I mean, now I know where you guys are. And now I don't. The future is here. And yeah, what's really fun in VR, something you may always forget that you have at your disposal, is that despite the fact that you have this object like in front of you, and it's easy to fall into thinking that, you know, this is what you have and this is the precision you need to be working with, you actually are not limited in terms of precision at all. And the precision in this case is your dexterity with your arms and your hands and your fingers and everything. So since we can't scale our arms, we can scale the object instead. So right now I'm working on this giant pants sculpture and it's very easy to do very precise manipulations with the shape. If it's not clear what I'm doing right now, I'm looking at the pants from the inside. This is inside of my pants. Welcome. And like I'm looking at the way this layer that I'm removing, what it looks like from the inside. So I'm actually removing that thing that is covered by this, what appears to look like a layer of something in here. So I'm connecting the mesh right here, so it would sort of merge this surface right here, this one, and this one. So I would be able to remove whatever's going on in that gap right there. And yeah, what's fortunate about being able to actually vertex paint in Shapelab is that when I'm cutting in, you know, if I cut in too much, I will, well, first of all, the topology would give it away, but I'm not necessarily gonna be looking at it. But like if I'm cutting away and it's too much, I'll see the difference in the color. Like whatever I cut away turns white. So this happens to be useful. So anyway, I'll keep cutting out this giant piece. It's really big, like the whole butt is covered in it. So what I wanted to show you guys, that by the time I cut around it like this and have like a floating piece, I can then open a menu of this merge and separate, and in here we can separate continuous meshes into 2 objects maximum in this case. And most likely that will be exactly just the main mesh and this little thing. So if I hit apply, oh, actually something else was disconnected. This is also disconnected. Oh, that's what it did. So it grouped both smaller things together. So now we have this disconnected and I can just go ahead and use my delete gun and destroy it. And that's it, like we removed that slab and we revealed the surface underneath, whatever we could save anyway. Now, usually with my previous testings of this workflow, it's actually, you know, quite a easy thing to do because you rarely mess up a scan this much. Like, it's completely insane all over the surface here, especially on the rare side. Die. Okay, so that's a big piece right here that was removed. So you see, I was trying to blend it with higher precision scan, but it just got so misaligned that now I just have to remove it. But again, it was still useful to continue the shape of the pants somewhere. So this misalignment, like, I would love to avoid it, but it's a lot harder to do it before you see the final result, because sometimes things would blend together nicely and work great. So you don't want to remove everything, not to mention that you need, like, when you align things in Revascan, you need at least 10% of overlapping between the two scans, so it would be able to merge them together. And that overlap will result in this overlap, and you know, you gotta do something with it afterwards. Funny thing I noticed, in many areas there are like these balloons of air, so it's like a hollow area inside. Kind of like the same situation, but this time you want to remove this layer that's underneath instead of erasing the layer on top. And this way, yeah, I'm using not the negative but the positive mode that would normally add volume to the shape. But since I'm looking at it from the inside, it's like cutting away the hole. And yeah, now if I press separate, it will indeed separate this little piece right here, and there's no pocket of air anymore in my pants. Shapelab is perfect for removing pockets of air from my pants. Alright, so I'm kind of like halfway through it. I actually cleaned up everything except for like this leg right here, this area. It's very riddled with a lot of shells, so I'm gonna work on that now. But the rest of the pants, I'm already like just cleaning up some little glitches here and there. Overall, like all of this is like one solid surface everywhere. And yeah, now it's all about this leg. We'll see what I'll be able to do with it. Funny, it really feels like this model is made of like the drywall kind of material, you know? Whenever I break it and remove it, it immediately exposes this matte white material. It really feels like chalk, maybe? So yeah, overall, like giving it a good test, this kind of approach of cleaning up 3D scans in Shapelab, feeling so overpowered. Like, this is so... Like, it took a lot of time, but that's because this scan really, it should be just thrown away. This is ridiculous. There's no area on it that could actually be, like, completely used. It's a complete Frankenstein. But, like, I just need those pants, and this is the best I could do, because I'm the only one who can wear them, and I'm the only one who could scan them. Like, I know a few people in Tallinn that could help me out with either one or the other task, but I don't like talking to people a lot, so... So this. I mean, making someone doing a 3D scan would be a huge endeavor, like... Pretty much giving a person an education they weren't asking for, or making them wear my own pants? I don't know. Shapelab is great. Anyway, let's finish this up here and then see what we can do with maybe creating a few more scans and merging them with this. Probably in Blender already, because there will be just a lot of fiddling with different files and all that. Man, this is so strange. I've spent quite a considerable time inside of this weird location. Like, it's hard to explain on YouTube what I'm experiencing. Like, sure, I'm inside of the model of pants, right? I made it really big to see inside of it, but that's what you understand the first 40 minutes. And after that, you're kind of like living here now, and you deal with these giant weird things that happen in here. And it can be like a literal like landscape that you're standing in, especially if I switch to like an infinite background. Oh my god, the scale of this is insane. Like, it really starts messing with your head a little bit, like you're standing in this giant land with weird, never-ending, paradoxical merges of surfaces and everything. Like, it's so weird. Like, right now I fixed everything, so it's nice and clean, like one surface. But it was such a trip working with all those different planes that merged together and everything. Anyway, I'm done. This is a fully cleaned up mesh. Let's now duplicate it, and first of all, let's compare. I have a suspicion. No, I didn't. I thought I may accidentally have like moved it or something. I didn't. That's good. So let's clone, and I want to fill it up with one color again, so we would see better. Like this. Fill entire object. Let's fill with something darker for coolness. The pants in-game will most likely be also dark. Like, not necessarily black, but dark. I was thinking maybe slightly blue, because it generally works with the yellow jacket. Alright, here it is, standing before me. Like, right now, as I scaled it and put it in the real situation, I can see, like, it's not a very detailed result, not a very detailed scan, so we will continue by, like, the most detailed thing is my socks, apparently. We will continue by adding in more sculpts and merging them into the geometry. Hopefully it'll work out well in Blender. I can't see why not. But yeah, this is definitely already something we can start working with. Now I'm gonna go ahead and export it. No vertex color needed this time. And yeah, go ahead. Done. Ugh. Oh my god. Like, it doesn't hurt, but it feels like my face is of a different shape right now. Actually, like, with a cap, I haven't noticed, it feels so comfortable. Nothing hurts at all. So good. Alright, welcome back. So, I brought the pants into Blender, into our John assembly project. And here I like fit it in a little bit with the rest of the outfit. A little bit, because I didn't actually bend the leg or something, but yeah, apparently John's hips are a bit thinner than mine, so I had to like scale down in X and Y a little bit comparing to the Z value. This seems to be correct, although maybe this makes the belt of the pants a little bit too high. It's just that these pants, they have like pretty low hanging middle section. And yeah, maybe I would just like to change that a little bit. So if I would just keep the proportions, it would look kind of like this with, you know, this gap starting pretty low. But the actual legs of mine did start like higher. So it's just about, you know, sculpting it into a more of a split kind of pants. So I might just keep it this way. And this is like unscaled version. And I already tried one thing. I already imported one of the scans where I combined two scans of the belt, which resulted in a little bit of a glitch in here because apparently the cloth moved a bit even between these two scans. But like, this is easy to fix with no issues. And overall we get like pretty high definition of detail in here. So I already actually applied a remesh on the whole sculpt, increasing the density of polygons a little bit. And I apply on top like a smooth modifier, like this. It makes it a bit softer, only in this area because I'm using like a weight paint that looks like this. But like in this weight paint, I'm using like the smooth modifier, and the same weight paint is applied to this shrink modifier. And if we compare the detail, this is the level of detail we actually get from the projection. So we're like, it's really worth doing this extra step of projecting like just separate pieces of the scan onto this main scan we got. And yeah, I'm just making it softly fade away where it ends using this weight paint. So I think it works pretty well. We got ourselves pretty high detail of the pants at the top here. Arguably the least necessary area, because like John is just having a jacket over that part. But I mean, maybe eventually I will remove the jacket in the story or something. So why not make the actual finished pants? It's just a little bit of extra work at the top here. I think it definitely makes sense. So yeah, now I'll be importing more of those scans that I prepared in Revascan. Right now, if I'll start importing, I have this folder where I put all of them in here and I named them. So I know like this is left ankle, and here we have this part. This is how I prepared them, so I was using like aggressive closing holes algorithm in Revascan, which is actually a pretty powerful feature comparing to options in Blender. So this is how it like continued the curvature and made like little pebble shaped thing like this for me to easily, you know, implement in projection, so it wouldn't cause too much of very sharp or weird kind of glitches. So yeah, now since I'm out of Revascan, I have to like manually align things, and pretty much after I'm done aligning, I will just go ahead and use the same shrink wrapping and everything. Alright, so I duplicated the shrink wrap modifier and defined the ankle to be the projection target. But now we of course need to add the weight paint. So now I'll quickly and easily make a brushstroke in the weight paint, and any day now it will show a nice projection of detail. Did it do it? Yeah, I think it did. Let me check. Yep, it works. But of course it would be best to probably disable shrink wrap modifiers while I actually paint the weights. Okay, yeah, that's way more responsive, so we just shouldn't be updating the modifiers on this heavy mesh, and we'll be a-okay. So yeah, I'll go over as many scans as I see useful, and just project as many details as I see possible. And you know, after that, after like projecting the details into the normal map, I'll be able to use like a stamp tool to maybe continue some of the like these cool details of the strap in here, so it would go in the back there, because I don't think I have a scan for the back of the ankle at all. But like I feel like I'll have a sufficient amount of well-defined detail to just go from it. Nice. Like, so worth doing this extra projection. Oh my god. Alright, so I aligned both of the pockets, which are like the most complex thing to project because of the complex shape with surfaces going up and down and inside and all. So it won't project normally at all. But some of the easier parts, like in here, these folds, maybe these like seams right here, could be projected nicely, so I'm gonna go over those areas and just paint some of the weights to let that in. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, some precise details showing through nicely. Okay, in here I shouldn't have gone that far with the weights. Yeah, this is off limits. Hope this works. Alright, so yeah, this is pretty useful, I guess, improvement. How do I think the best way to do it is to like paint a mask. And let's try like a grab brush. So the point is here is to align the main features, even though there will be a tiny like crevice in the middle. We can still like fix that easily with a low radius blur. So let's remove the mask and do just that. Alright, so here we are. Maybe I will apply a few more scans here and there if they, happen to work well, but for the back I didn't find anything particularly useful. Maybe a pocket I will be able to extract somewhat decently. I'll give it another shot. But overall, like for this video, I think this is a pretty awesome result. Very high definition look. I really like the way pockets show up in here, and like plenty of cool detail at the bottom area as well, like really cool wrinkles, like in all the most important areas where there's a lot of very complex wrinkles or stitches, that kind of stuff. Like all of this is looking really cool, or this like rubberized area like looking really cool. I'm not sure if there will be socks visible at all on the model in the end, since the boots are somewhat tall, but a very thin slither, that's usually how it goes when I wear these pants with these boots, a little bit may be visible, so that may be pretty useful there. But yeah, at this point, very nice result. So yeah, this is it. Let me know what you guys think. I think we're getting quite an awesome look here. Looking great. I think projecting this on like a low poly version of the pants, it will give quite an awesome result. So I'm gonna get to it, but for this video, this will be it. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to check out Shapelab in the video description. There's a link to its Steam page. Right now there's a discount, so make sure to check it out if you're interested in VR sculpting and cleaning up the 3D scans apparently, because this was a pretty awesome experience with making this scan a lot cleaner. So yeah, this is it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye! Also, here's a little sneak peek on the hair progress that I'm working on right now for the hair episode. It's like a 3D sketch, and a lot more work needs to be done, which is done here. And it's quite intense. I need to figure out a lot of things, but yeah, hopefully it will be a successful episode.